So this show is so good that I pretty much add like one more person to my suspect list like every week. So we start off with them trying to figure out who is going to be the Kappa president. Is Chanel #1 going to continue her reign, or will Zayday steal her thunder and become the new prez? Well, they take a vote and it ends up that there's a tie, so they're going to be co-presidents. At first, you would think Chanel #1 would be just totally devastated, but she claims this is all part of her master plan because she doesn't want to be in charge when things just fall apart, and she says that this is because she won't be a target anymore when she's not the #1 only president. I don't know. I mean, she has like a twisted mind. Do you believe that? I don't know if I do. So Zayday suggests they should have a slumber party, and honestly here, I think Zayday is just not trustworthy at all. I don't know if she was on Team RD from the beginning, or if she got recruited when he was sending her Kills products and flowers there down in his little dungeon, but I just think we can't trust her at all. Thumbs up if you agree with me. So we find out that Chanel #3 has some feelings for predatory Les, and she kind of gets to explore those, well, for a little bit in this episode. And we also learn why she wears the earmuffs. I knew there was more to this story. She says she wears them because her ex was obsessed with her ears and she thinks he's going to come cut them off. So, a girl can never be too careful. So somehow this slumber party that happens, the girls end up locked inside of their own house. They can't even get out. So of course Chanel calls Chad Radwell, aka the smartest person on campus, like duh, and he has a great idea. He's just going to climb a ladder up to her bedroom and break the glass with a baseball bat. Well, that actually works, except he brings some of the DDS, Dickie Dollar Scholars, with him, and the poor guy who already lost his arms to RD is the last one making it up, and it doesn't go so well for him. He's the first victim of the night, and he gets killed in a really gruesome way, like the RD played golf with his head. It was pretty terrible. So Grace suggests that the Kappas just leave the school because obviously more and more of them are going to die. But she changes her mind toward the end of the episode. Honestly, guys, Grace is still my absolute #1 suspect in this show because still another episode has passed and no one has even the slightest suspicion that she could be on the RD team. She was acting uber innocent in this episode, which makes me think even more that she's involved. So Chanel #3 dares predatory Les to go down in a game of truth and dare to go down into the basement and get into that bathtub, which is, I guess, the one where Bathtub Baby was born, possibly, and hang out in there for a little bit. So she does that. We all know that just can't be a good scenario. Of course, she runs right into an RD in there, and the best part about this is probably the best scene of the entire episode. She was like, please let me see your face before you kill me. The RD takes off their mask. She's like, I knew it was you. I knew it was you. So what does that mean, guys? Because I do think some shocking people are going to be involved with Red Devil, but since she wasn't shocked, I mean, who is it that's so obvious that it didn't shock her? To be completely honest, I think there was just one Red Devil in this episode doing the killing, and that person was someone who was not seen in the episode. What I'm saying is, I know they're part of the cast, but they weren't one of the people stuck inside the house for the slumber party who we actually saw without a mask on. So, Chanel #1 throws some major shade in this episode. She's pretty much calling everyone out for being RD. And she says at first that Chanel #6 is definitely RD. This is Hester. I think she's just mainly pretty jealous of her because she knows Chad actually kind of has a crush on her as well, even though he doesn't want to date her. And then she calls out Chanel #5 later on. So I'm starting to get some major vibes that Chanel #1 is involved in this somehow, because usually people who don't want to be suspected themselves point the finger at everyone else, and let's be real, that's exactly what she is doing here. Some things I thought were interesting were the fact that two people who definitely should have died and who were super close to RD in this episode did not. The first one comes when Chanel #5 is dared to go. Actually, this is probably like 7 minutes in heaven, not truth or dare, but she goes off with Roger. As you'll remember, Dodger got killed in the last episode, his twin brother. So she goes off with Roger to go make out with him. That doesn't last any time because RD is there and he gets killed, being our second victim of the night, with a nail gun. Now, this was really suspect to me because RD was right beside Chanel number 5. I mean, practically on top of her, and nothing happens to her. Now, I'm not saying she's involved here, but why did he or she spare her life? That was super weird. Post your thoughts down below about that. So, then at this point, this is when Chanel number 1 says, you know, it's obvious that Chanel number 5 is the Red Devil because she was left alone. Now, I think that's just way too obvious. I don't think that she's working with the Red Devil, but I do think that is super, 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 super weird. So, another reason why Chanel number 1 became one of my main suspects after this episode was because she suggests that her and Zayday go down into these hidden tunnels that I didn't even know existed in the house. Now, how did she know about that? And of course, they run right into the Red Devil when they're doing this. So how did she know about the tunnels, but also Red Devil knew about the tunnels? I would say it was a total setup for Zayday to lose her life, but she ends up saving Zayday. The other thing I thought was super weird is that Zayday should have died in this episode. She was really close to an RD and she escaped with no injuries. I just think that's too weird that the RD spared 2 people. So, Grace's dad acted pretty shady in this episode. He shows up at the end, which makes it totally possible that he was RD because he wasn't part of that slumber party scene. And he's telling Grace it's time for her to leave because obviously this house isn't safe. Now, she was saying that earlier in the episode herself, but when he tries to force her to leave, she's like, no, I'm going to stay. Girl, what's up with that? Oh, wait, I know. It's because you're the Red Devil. She's the other Red Devil. What I thought was cool of the show is for them to actually tell us what we already knew, that there are at least 2 Red Devils. Chad, being the super smart guy he is, as I've said before, said himself that there has to be at least 2 because 2 attacked the Dickie Dollar Scholars during that Backstreet Boys montage. And what I also think about him is that he is one of my suspects because I think it would be super cool if it turns out that he wasn't actually the dumbest person on the planet, but he was really smart and he was masterminding all of this. And he's just totally acting like a dumb jock just because it's funny and because no one would ever suspect him. What do you guys think about that? Thumbs up if you think that Chad Radwell is smarter than he appears, and thumbs up if you think he could be a Red Devil or behind it in some way. So let's go over who my suspects are currently. Grace is still my number 1 suspect. I think she's going to be the shocking reveal at the end of this season. I think Chanel number 1 is involved in some way, whether she's the bathtub baby or she's involved with the Red Devils. I'm not really sure yet, but I definitely think she's involved somehow. I'm throwing Chad in there because he's just too stupid. It's ridiculous at this point. Is anyone really that stupid? I don't think so. And I still think Denise has something to do with this. I found it convenient she wasn't in this episode at all, making it totally possible for her to have been going around being the Red Devil in this episode. So, also, what's up with all that 80s music? I mean, that would have been around the time she was trying to pledge Kappa, which makes sense. There's got to be a reason every single episode has 80s music. It doesn't tie into anyone else. Also, of course, we know that Gigi is one of the masterminds, and from the promo for the next episode, it looks like she's getting even crazier, but I don't think she's the one going around doing the killings. So let me know what you think so far and who your suspects are and why. Don't forget that every week I have a live chat about Scream Queens. It's at 6 p.m. on Wednesdays right here on my channel. That's 6 p.m. Eastern. All that information is down below. Make sure you're following me on social media, and please subscribe if you haven't so you don't miss any of these super cool videos. So thank you so much for watching this episode of Kellie TV. I'll see you next time.
You used to call me on my cell phone late night when you need my